I remember.
Whoop, you remember? Hey, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is the Series 7 Guru coming to you from my off-grid studio, getting our kicks on historic Route 66 with our always very special guest, the Test Geek in living form in flesh, managing member Test Geek Exam Prep LLC, Brian Lee. We're here to help you with any content questions you have. Before we do that, we'll go over some housekeeping. Once we get that down, feel free to put into the chat whatever you'd like us to try and help you with. Tell us what series exam you're taking and where you're joining us from as we get the housekeeping admin out of the way. And then we'll be looking in those chats. If you do have a question, it's helpful, not necessary, but helpful if you tell us what exam you're taking, you know, SIE with a capital Q followed by the question, because there's a lot of overlap in how they test something on a SIE versus a 7 or 24 could be substantially different. If you are looking for a free supplement to your paid study materials, there's no better free supplement than my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel has over 2,000 free videos. Woo! We're coming over 2 million views. 8 million views, excuse me. We're coming up on 8.5 million views, 2 million hours of watch time. I've organized it in playlists. So if you're looking for the 66, for example, there's 4 playlists. The first playlist in that series 66 playlists is Brian and I in a podcast series that kind of gives you an overlook of the terrain, nice recon on what the exam looks like, start to finish. Then there's some lectures, some practice tests, things like that. So start there if you want to cram, if you want to, gorge yourself, or you want to binge. But if you're looking for a particular topic, use the search bar. Brian and I tonight know we're going to get asked some questions we've answered many times. They live forever in video explanations. Even today, I had a question, Brian. I made them a special video that answered their question, and the thread went on 15 things before some realized there was a video where I explained the whole thing to them. So check that out. Put in their accrued interest or margin or parity or whatever, and that will pop up. Now, if you're looking for a paid supplement, there's nothing better than, I think, a Kaplan Q-Bank. You can get 15% off on all Kaplan products and services with my discount code at checkout, Guru15. But that Q-Bank is, I think, the best in class. If you're taking the Series 7, for example, you get over 3,600 questions. And with that discount code comes in at $55.80. Now, if you're looking for a distillation, once you get through your primary study materials, we have a master distiller there on the other side of the view there. And Brian has been kind enough to give our viewers a 20% discount on his content, and that's Guru 20. Now, all in on Brian's video distillation, his PDFs, his practice tests, a little over $100 with the discount. So check that out. You're not alone. You have lots of test-taking tribes you can consider joining. We have, for example, a Facebook community. We just crossed 200 people. Where's my Facebook one? Oh, there we go. Boom. I got 2 Reddits. Now we got some funky stuff in the universe going on. There we go. That's Baby Brokers doing hat tricks. Baby Brokers is a term of endearment in the securities industry for rookies. A hat trick is 3 successes in a limited time frame. Hence, Baby Brokers doing hat tricks. Think SIE 766, SIE 663. We also have Reddit communities. We have a subreddit for the Series 6, a subreddit for the Series 7 and SIE, a subreddit for 63, 65, 66, and we have a Reddit subreddit for 9s, 10s, and 24s. If tonight you win the coaching call, you do not win a tutoring session at a date and time of your choice. What you need to do is go to deantenneytutoring.setmore.com, go to the class tab, and you will find the coaching call for drawing winners. And you just register for that, and you'll get a Zoom link, and you can ask anything you'd like. Almost everything on my booking page is not free. So it's kind of bifurcation, if you will. Everything on YouTube is free. I don't sell channel memberships. I don't sell coffee cups. No merch. Nothing. On the booking page, that's a little bit different. That's where you book tutoring, you book classes, things like that. But I do have some free stuff. We have a weekly Q&A jam session coming in. That's free for everybody. Same thing. You would go to the class tab and you look for the weekly Q&A if you want to register and join us for that. Brian has his whiteboard. There's some things that don't lend themselves well to this Tuesday night Q&A live streaming. And in the jam session, we have an electronic board and you can talk and you're in video, video box. So a little more easier to do some things. We also have a book club. If you'd like to join us for our book club, we're doing this month, 1929 by Aaron Sorkin. Same thing. You go to Dean Tenney Tutoring, hit the class tab, go to the book club. You're welcome to join us on that. If for some reason something I'm discussing with you doesn't show up, it just means it's been capped. And once it's the cap, it disappears from the booking page. Next week, I'm teaching a 66 at Kaplan. If you want to join me next week for a 66, feel free to do so. You can do that on the Kaplan page. Okay, let's see, Brian, what we got going on in comments. Oh, what happened in the comments? Oh, boy, it sounds like a weird day on the internet today. Hi, Dean, I passed my 7. Woohoo! If you're new with us, we ring the bell. For whom the bell tolls, victorious test takers. The other thing we do is we have a beverage. We toast in your honor. And tonight we're toasting an artisanal mezcal. Brian doesn't do the toast because he's in his, how long have you been clean now? I think you're in your 18 years. You got your chip? No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. It was a joke. You got to be careful on the internet because that'll be
I know.
It's a joke. It's a joke. All right. Let's see. Don't forget the whole thing here. We got last Friday. Definitely attack the pain points. All right. Well, kudos. Another testing victory. Woo! I'll have to drink for the both of us. Oh. Lehman Brothers. All right. Thank you guys for passing the first time. Wow, a lot starting right out of that. Well, we actually do have a P.O. box, Lurker. You can't send me. The gift or gratuity rule does not apply to Brian Lee and Dean Tenney. So knock yourself out. It's P.O. Box 1086, Seligman, Arizona, 86337. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, Brian, I posted today in social media. Did you see where First Trust paid a $10 million fine for violations of the gift or gratuity rule? $10 million. They were, taking reps to, non-cash compensation. If you're interested in such things, Lurker, you can find that post on my Reddit. I posted the Reddit 24 because I thought it was more appropriate to 24s and 9s and 10s than it was to, baby broker types. But I also posted on Facebook.
Finding them and putting them up in hotels?
Well, it was called non-cash compensation in violation of the gift or gratuity rule.
10 million?
10 million was the fine. Sporting events, hotels, airline flights.
Wow.
And so.
Somebody's going to lose their job at First Trust, that's for sure.
Well, it was funny too, Brian, is you'd think that people would realize that all this stuff is being archived.
Yeah. So,
when you send some stupid email like, hey, Brian, I think we take him to the Knicks game, man, we get him. That's just bad. Good evening, guys. 63 now. Test Geek, of course. A lot of materials overlapping. Any points the main differences between 65? Well, yeah. 65 is going to have way more investment-oriented questions, economics, financial statements. I think you're good on the Uniform Securities Act component of that. The other thing I would tell you is, Don, the 63 is a little more focused on BDs and agents than the 65 is, because that's going to be more focused on investment advisor reps. I think you get a lot of overlap on the Uniform Securities Act in general, but then all the other of it is not overlapping. Brian, your thoughts on that?
That's exactly right. The BD agent, the laws and regs section, there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of ethics questions. You'll probably see some that are actually worded pretty closely. But like Dean said, it focuses primarily on BD and agents because the 63 is the agent's exam. Right. The 65 is the IAR exam. So it's far more broker-dealers and agents. Be careful of your time. There's only 75 minutes for this exam, right? Mm-hmm. So some of you guys who like to kind of stretch it out to the end, be careful a little bit with the 63.
Yeah, there you go. Don, I have somebody in a very similar situation to yours. I was talking today. But I said, not only the time constraint, make sure you try and exhaust the Kaplan Q bank or whatever Q bank. This is one exam where you do want to do as much practice, drilling, and rehearsing on the practice questions as compared to others. On other exams, Don, we usually say, wait till you're 7-10 days out, have laid your base knowledge, then start doing practice tests. On 63, I don't believe in that. 63, and from the get-go, you should be doing just rifling through as many practice questions as you can. So, Don, I would have the expectation if I were your corporate trainer or your boss, I'd hand people a 63 book and say, I expect you to have this done next week. But why do people not listen to us, Brian? I just, the guy I'm talking about, Don, I told him you need to get this done, get this testing victory and move on. So we don't want to be delaying this. So I had recommended he go last Friday. So here it is now. We're Tuesday. We're still talking about it. And I was going Friday, and I'm just worried that we're going to get into a slog we shouldn't be in, particularly with the 63. Yeah. Just want to come back in. If you remember me from last week, I believe, but I passed. Woo! Yeah. Oh, man, Clay. It looks like it was important. He said that one more chance. He made good on his one more chance. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Brian, I got a 73 on your test. Yes, absolutely.
Good. Nice.
I got 87. Is this? Yeah. Quadros are there. SPACs are definitely there. Quadros are qualified domestic relations order. I can't imagine any draw of your actual exam that you're not getting the quadros. Right. Alex, I'm a little concerned that you didn't tell us when your test date is, because with scores like that, as we were just discussing, you should be testing here rather soon. Friday, perhaps. Monday at the latest, perhaps. Quadros are where the court order to a ex-spouse to get a distribution from a qualified retirement plan. SPACs, very testable. Brian was on this. Brian's a lot of on the leading edge of a lot of debrief questions from the front, I call it. Sometimes Brian will tell me he's had somebody tell him, I go, come on. I've never heard of that. Never had anybody give me debrief. And then, after he tells me, I go, okay, now it's showing up. SPACs, make sure you know the public offering price is $10. Make sure you know there's an escrow trust account for the proceeds from that offering. And if we don't make an acquisition in 2 years, we return the money. Qualified default investment alternative. I call it a nudge. It allows us to automatically enroll you in like a target date fund, because a lot of times what is happening is people aren't signing up for the 401k, even though there's like a match or the employer's putting money in there. It's just sitting in cash. So this relieves the employer of liability in making a default asset allocation for you in terms of like your 401k retirement plan. IRMA, all these are showing up, Alex. So sounds like you've been watching Brian, because Brian and I talk about all these and they're all there on the test. IRMA, you want to talk about IRMA, Brian?
Not specifically. What I wanted to mention to everyone is that I try to keep up on my addendum. The addendum is part of the PDFs. It's also downloadable on the video course, where you'll see quadros, you'll see SPACs, things that I haven't talked about specifically in the exam that we hear on the video that we hear on the exam. Now, I don't have the Quidia, however we want to say that, or the IRMA. Right? Those are not on the addendum yet, as is CE requirements is another one that a lot
very testable. 12 hours, 6 hours on ethics, 6 hours on products. Can't roll them over. You can use on the BD side the product hours. Very testable, Brian. IRMA is
one other thing that's showing up. Where was I going with this?
I'm sorry.
Besides the CE, the IRMAs, Quidias. The donor funds.
Donor advised funds, where we make a donation to like the Fidelity Gift Fund, Schwab Gift Fund, Vanguard Gift Fund, and instead of signing over to that charity, like in my example, I like to the Save the Tiger Fund. It's a 501c. But if I donate my stock, my appreciated securities to the Tiger Fund, I get the deduction of market value. They sell, they don't pay taxes. The Tigers end up with more money. Right. But if I want to be able to direct that to more than one charity, maybe instead of donating my appreciated securities to the Tiger Fund, I donated the Schwab Gift Fund. Same deal. I get the deduction. They're a charity. They have no tax consequence. And then I direct the proceeds to a charity of my choice, 1, 2, or 3 different 501cs, for example. Very testable. And then the IRMA is the income related Medicare Adjustment, I think, Act. But what it is a surcharge on Medicare A and I believe D based on your income. Is that right, Brian?
Well, yeah, because I just paid mine.
Did you really? You did really? All right. There you go.
Yeah, it's a Part B. It's a premium on a Part B for Medicare, which is actually dependent upon your income. So I had to pay a significant.
Yep. Yeah. You know, you would think that Brian.
I just turned 65.
You would think all these courses are pro bono, but no, he's making some money.
Exactly.
79. Got an 81 on the benchmark, but you shouldn't be nervous. You need to channel the nervousness, I guess I would say. If you're getting a benchmark, I'm assuming you're using Notman, and Notman is the best provider for 79. So I think that 81 is a very good indication you're going to make your mark. So you have nothing to be nervous about. I know it's difficult when you have an exam coming up. I will have a 79. I just haven't had time to do it. I have a practice test that Notman has given me permission to put on the channel. I just haven't got around to it yet. Won't do you any good tomorrow, but come back with the victory post. Tell you what I'm going to do. OVO Platinums. I'm ringing the bell early on your testing victory. I'm front running on your 79 testing victory.
OVO, while he's drinking, I'd like to tell you something.
Yeah.
I'll bet you there's 80% of the people out here who would love to get an 81 on a practice fund. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, dude. 81's a really, really strong score.
So OVO, yeah, I don't know what Brian calls it. I call them champagne problems. Champagne problems are problems that other people would really trade you for in an instant, right? So Brian is right. To be getting an 81 on a 79 practice test, champagne problem. So you should be good. I had a guy who was complaining about watching commercials on my YouTube channel. And I said, listen, I hate commercials on YouTube too. So I pay $20 a month and then I don't have to watch commercials on YouTube. I said, listen, I'm in your life for a reason. A season to get through your exam, 6 months times 20, that's $120. And then you don't have to watch commercials, or you can pay me $3.75 an hour for tutoring and you don't have to watch commercials. And he goes, well, I guess I'll suffer and watch the commercials. And I said, well, young man, if in your life watching commercials on YouTube is suffering, you are pretty blessed. That is a champagne problem. I'm sure there are a lot of people in the world who would trade places with you in a heartbeat. Hi, guys. Hi, Courtney. How are you?
Hi, Courtney.
That's the 65 last March. Okay, well, Harold, I think the statute of limitations on the bell and the drink have passed. I'm not going to ring the bell for a testing victory in March, nor am I going to do the toasting beverage. Getting closer. SI in June. I think that, again, I think that's a little too far out for a bell and a toast. In June, now on the 7. Okay, cool. What topics on the 7 will you be to hone in? Well, pay attention, Harold, to the weighting. The Series 7 is based on 4 critical functions. Can you find a customer? Can you open a new account? Can you make an investment? What happens afterwards, backstage? The third function, making the investment, is 91 questions. And of those 91 questions, the vast majority of them are options plus or minus 20, 15, 25, munis plus or minus 25, minus 15, 25. And I would add to that suitability as well, but also I would add mutual funds. Yeah. Now, you should be in good shape on the mutual funds, assuming you already did your 65 and you did your SIE, but make sure you don't, you close difference being closed in and open-end funds and ETFs and ETNs, all that stuff. Now, Brian put up suitability, and here's where it's really important that you lay the base on the products, the investment vehicles, because the 3 styles of questions you get on Series 7 are recognition, practical application, and judgment. Now, in your SIE, there was very, if any, judgment questions and very 2 or 3 practical application. 65 has judgment questions. And a lot of these judgment questions are suitability, where you're looking at what should I recommend to the customer, and you get to the 50-50. And to squeeze the trigger on that 50-50, the more product knowledge you have, the better you'll be in pivoting and picking the right answer on those, because those suitability questions, I think, are some of the toughest questions. Brian, your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. It starts with your product knowledge. So the biggest difference, as your question states, between the 7, remember, this is FINRA, it's not NASA, so it's not a lot of law-driven questions. It's not a lot of analytics either. It's predominantly products. The one section on products is 92 out of 125 questions. That's a big percentage. You got to know those products. There's some ancillary stuff, types of accounts, those sorts of things, but products and suitability. Products and suitability. In case you didn't hear me, products and suitability.
Marcel in the house. Marcel, Brian was kind enough to take me to the new William B's at Suncoast. Oh, we can't wait to take you, Marcel. Marcel was kind enough to take Mom and I to what was formerly, what was it called? The SC Steakhouse or something?
Yeah.
And it was okay, but boy, Marcel, what a step up. Now, you haven't won anything lately. I wouldn't say anything lately, but you're due. You're due to collect some more winnings because you are a lucky man for sure. I think I owe him 4 or 5 hours of coaching calls based on his previous wins. I always tell Mom when you say hello. She's got her dice that you sent me. Can you see my Route 66 oil can Marcel sent me? It should be above the ticker there. Let me see if you guys can see it. Can you guys see it up there?
Now I see it.
And he sent me some dice. He gave me permission to give the dice to Mom. I have the license plate sitting right here. I got to redo my background, Marcel. So as soon as I get that done, it'll find a home up there. I just got to decide when I'm going to retire to put it up there. So thanks for popping out. Always makes our Tuesday nights when Marcel shows up. Well, there you go. Thank you so much, Harold. I don't mind if people call us the goats. I get worried when somebody else calls themselves the goat. I always get concerned when Brett Favre was talking about being the best quarterback ever. I'm like, oh, Brett, guys like Joe Montana and, those guys don't talk about it. And they just do it. Can I explain what you should know on margin? Nothing, Adam. Nothing. In fact, my lecture is called Don't Overdose on Margin. You're going to get 2, 3, max 4 questions on margin.
Yeah.
They're very linear. I get so upset, Adam, when people send me, if you put margin in the search bar on my channel, you will see dozens of videos with me helping people out on margin. And I have a lecture and I call it Margin Don't Overdose. That's the point of the lecture. Make sure you got the documentation down, credit agreement, mandatory, the hypothecation agreement, mandatory, loan consent form, optional. Make sure you know that 2,000 or less, you pay full, 2,000 to 4,000, you pay 2. Make sure you on the margin accounts, no minimum maintenance long is 25, minimum maintenance short is 30. Remember, house requirements can be more stringent, but I think almost every test prep vendor goes overboard on margin and partnerships. They have all kinds of content and questions you will never encounter on the actual Series 7. Your thoughts, Brian, on that?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's long from the days that Dean and I took the Series 7, where you could have easily expected 10 margin questions. That content is still included in all the textbooks, unfortunately. There really is no more than 3 or 4. The documentation, just like Dean said, I would probably know how SMA is determined, how to compute SMA, right? And then some of the minimum deposits, and that's it.
Yeah, I would know the classical margin equation, long market value minus debit equals equity. The best analogy is the house. The market value of the house minus the mortgage on the house equals equity. I know the classical short equation, credit register minus short market value equals equity. Brian's point, if you know how to set it up and mark to market, you'll get every question right. But when I teach a Series 7 class, I usually start by saying, what would you like to get help with in this class today? And almost ever this week, and they say options and margin. I said, well, of the two, options are a much, much bigger deal than margin. But like options, if you do get margin, you're not going to get tricked. You're just going to, I don't know if Brian's the same way. I would love to get 125 margin questions because I had a guy, he's David Bach, if you're listening, shout out to you. He's famous now for writing books called like The Automatic Millionaire, but he was in my Series 7 class when he was becoming a Morgan Stanley broker. And, I used to say to everybody, Adam, you got to know all this stuff with 100% accuracy. And David, he passed and he said, Dean, you did me a disservice because, I spent way, way much more time on margin than I should have. My time would have been better allocated elsewhere. Okay, so my margin lecture over the years has gone from 2 hours to like 45 minutes, and that's probably still too much. Recently, I had a Merrill broker, would-be broker, and he's studying it. I think you deserve Adam. So I don't know about Adam. Brian's a little better at distillation and making his own editorial decisions about what not to discuss. I think if you have worked hard, that I'm going to answer your question, even though I think it's obtuse and I don't think it's going to be on the test. And this Merrill guy was kind of like that. I said, listen, you're working hard and you send me all these obtuse questions. I don't mind answering them for you because you're working hard, but your time would be better spent elsewhere, particularly with margin stuff. And I was surprised he listened to me. Usually people don't listen. I just talk about people don't listen. He goes, well, thank you, Dean. I'll move on. I go, well, okay.
So. It's difficult. You're absolutely right. It's difficult for some folks to kind of let some stuff go. Again, because they take sort of an academic approach to this material.
Yeah.
Whether they're just recently out of college or not, they've always done it that way. So for some jerk like me to come and say, "Who cares? It's not on the test." This is all you got to know. You got to kind of play your customer a little bit. Sometimes I'll go a little deeper, but not too far because I know it's not in their best interests.
All right. Well, I got a 68 on a 65. I aced the non-regulatory parts, but totally bombed regs. Having trouble organizing and classifying. Any tips on revving my hand about rules and regs? Yes. Brian has continually offered, and maybe he'll offer it once again. But if he doesn't, I'll turn it over to him in just a sec. Brian and I did a video, an evening class that Brian gave us permission to put on the channel. Brian led it, called Definition of Registrations and Persons. So put that in the channel search bar. People have found that very, very helpful in organizing and classifying. Secondly, Brian has what he calls a cheat sheet. And it really helps. We're putting, things in the boxes. It's not a flow chart, but kind of a grid that kind of shows that. And Brian has been offering that to our viewers free of charge. Is that offer still good, Brian?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you want to accept Brian's offer, there's his email. Just send him an email, brian@testgeekexamprep.com, and just say, hey, I'd like that cheat sheet. And boy, I use it when I tutor. I just say, hey, we're looking at a question. We'll have Brian's cheat sheet as we're doing the question and say, hey, let's put that, in one of these boxes and go from there. Right. So again, I think it's very, very
on the definitions and registration of persons.
Right on. So I think you'll find that helpful. That's one thing you can do. All right. Now I've lost my place and I got to go find got a 60. There we go. Well, that was easy. I can learn to star these things. I should be able to. When do we rent the raffle? We don't rent the raffle. The raffle is at the end of our session. We usually run for an hour. So at the top of the hour, we'll do I call it the Wheel of Fortune, whatever you want to call it. We do the drawing at that point. And then I'll tell you once again how to claim your coaching call, because that's what you win. Sometimes, depends how many questions in a queue, no promises. But sometimes we do the raffle, then Brian, exits, and then I take care of whatever is remaining. No promise, but we're pretty good at getting out here on time. How do you enter? Well, I just told you at the end, we'll tell you how to enter. Brian's going to put something on the board, and then give me time, and then you're going to enter it in the chat, and that's how the Wheel of Fortune picks you up. All the vids. I passed my 7. Woo! Getcher Joe, I love it.
No better feeling than passing that 7, let me tell you.
Yeah, I love it. 66. You got one more leg for the hat trick. One more. How long after taking it do you have to take the 7? I'm not sure I understand the question. I think you got a couple of years, but do you want 2 years? I don't think so. Once you're in the testing mode, man, run the table. Now, if you don't have sponsorship for the 7, that's a different thing. If you just took the SIE because you're in college and now you're going to go try and find a job, 2 years. But if you already have sponsorship for the 7, I'm going to tell you, take a couple days to refresh and reset. And you want to take the 7 right away because you want to take advantage of that base you've laid. Right. So I'm not sure I'm understanding, Gabriel. How long do you have to take? 2 years. But would I want you to take 2 years? I would not. If you have sponsorship, I would go. Thanks a million for the free resources. You're welcome. Brian has offered free resources here, and he also has a YouTube channel too. So check out his YouTube channel. He's got some great free stuff. I don't see if we have any 24s here tonight, but he's got one of the greatest 24 videos out there on buy-ins and sellouts. So check out some of his free stuff too. Listen to your person five times. There you go. Yeah, I joke, Bashel, that Brian and I live in FINRA and NASA fantasy land. You know, at least when you guys pass your exams, you get to move on. We're stuck here permanently. No wonder we're demented. Now, sometimes the fantasy land and the real world does meet. You know, I saw today an interview with the CEO of Palantir, and he was ballistic that Michael Burry is a bear on his stock. And I thought, Brian, that he is not foolish enough to short the stock, but he was going on how short sellers are, you know, of the devil. I'm paraphrasing, and he can't wait to squeeze him out of that short position. And I really would Michael Burry, famous from The Big Short, would he really short $1.5 billion of NVIDIA? I did some homework, and he actually, Brian, bought puts on NVIDIA, and he bought puts on Palantir. That's an entirely different proposition, a bear for sure. Yeah. And those bets total over $1 billion in notional value, but we don't know the strike price. We don't know. Chat is open. Here's my question for you. Why would Michael Burry buy puts on NVIDIA and puts on Palantir rather than actually shorting the stock? Think about it. I think you'll come up with the answer. It's one of the reasons I dived into its test question, 65s and 66. This is how demented I am, Brian. I actually dug into his 13F.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did, yeah. His 13F, his hedge fund's called Cion Capital. It's due 45 days at the end of the quarter. That's a test question. And sure enough, top position, puts on NVIDIA, puts on Palantir right there. Wow. Woo! Now, it'd be interesting to see if he does an interview and tells us the strike price, the premium paid, so we figure out what his break even is. I don't know. No. But there was an example where there were a couple of test issues that I thought from the real world that would translate into the fantasy testing world about puts versus shorts, the 13F, the 45 days, all that kind of stuff. So kind of fun day. All right, now back to, I shouldn't do that every time I leave. I got to remember how to star something before I leave so I can find it when I get back. I took a tip. I scored a 68. Yeah, wow, you know, Brittany, when that happens, I think you may need to consider a different voice, because that's unusual that somebody be scoring the way we want them to be scoring and still miss their mark. 68 means you got a good look at the dragon, you went in the cave, and I don't think that's a knowledge deficit thing. And I'm dating myself, Brian. I don't know if you go back this far as well. But when I came into the business, there was no 30-day wait period. And I would just tell Brittany to cue that thing back up until she got a draw she could pass. Yeah, what am I missing? I think you need a different voice. And Brian has some thoughts on people like yourself who come close but miss the mark, Brian.
I have really tried to narrow my focus when helping folks on their second or third attempt, especially the 66, which is one of my favorites. That's why they call me a geek, right? Because the 66 is one of my favorites. But the first thing you want to do, of course, is take inventory of your score sheet. Find out where are the lowest areas. Is it laws and regs, clients' recommendations, investment vehicles, or the business information, which oftentimes is one of the lowest. Even though it's got 8 questions, investment vehicle 17, those two, right, represent a quarter of the exam. We know the laws and regs are almost half, but sometimes people don't spend enough time on those balance sheets, liquidity, and leverage ratios. You got to know them, right? And some of the investment analysis involving the products, the discounted cash flow, time value of money. Those are usually the first areas I look at when someone just misses the mark. And be careful with the Kaplan scores. Don't OD on Kaplan or STC or anybody. You don't want to memorize their questions because, as you know, the questions on the real test are worded differently.
Brittany, if you go into the video description of this live stream, you will find my podcast. You failed. Is it over? Spoiler alert. The answer is no. It has my 5 recommendations about how to respond to that kind of misfortune for all exams. I'll give you recommendation number 1. You can watch the video for the other 4, but Recommendation number one is to sit down with yourself and do an intellectual debrief while the hurt is fresh.
Right.
Go to that test specifications that tells you what's behind what Brian has on his board. It matches up perfectly with your score sheet. And what I want you to do is go through that and put plus, 0, minus. Plus means you look at it and you go, I got that. I dealt with it. That wasn't the problem. That's a plus. 0 means you think you're at par. Counterintuitively, what we're looking for, par being passing, is the minus signs. We're hoping to identify some areas of remediation that we can move those up to par to find you those points. Now, I don't want to send out negative energy, but when people miss a second time, one thing they do is they bring up the areas they were weak into par, but forget it's a random draw, and they prepare for the draw they had instead of the draw they get this time. And so you got to make sure you bring everything that's above par. You got to keep it there. You got to bring everything par above par, and then all those things, you got to plug those gaps so that no matter what kind of draw you get the second time, you can take it down. So check out that podcast episode. It's in the video description with a link, and then Brian's spot on as well. When would you deliver cash versus the index? You never deliver the index. Nobody would play with you. If Brian had written an S&P 500 index option and I exercised, he had to come with 100 shares of 500 stocks, he would never do that. So we say to the writer of an index option that instead of delivering the index, you just have to deliver the cash equal to the intrinsic value. That is a test question. That it's cash settlement for index options. Now be careful. Not true of equity options. If Brian agrees to sell me 100 shares of Apple at $250, he's got to deliver the Apple. He can't say, hey, Dean, what did I just give you the cash? No, right? So index options, very testable, settle in cash. That's on the SIE. That's on the Series 7, perhaps 65, very low probability. But that is important. Remember the difference between American style and European style exercise? Equity, American style means I can make Brian perform on the contract anytime if he's short. It's one of the risks he takes. European style means I can only make him come up with the cash or whatever the security at the end. There's another style of exercise called capped. And that's where Brian agrees. We both agree, like if it's an index option and it's capped at 30 points, that, he just pays me $3,000, game over. The advantage to Brian is he has limited risk as the writer. The advantage to me is I pay a lower premium. The capped index option is makes, credit spreads or debit spreads not necessary, basically. Fail the 63 third time. Will I pass if I take it again? Well, who knows? My crystal ball is broke. I don't know. I'm going to buy a crystal ball for my background. When people ask questions like this, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to say, hey, it's got a crack. I can't see the future. I don't know.
One of those magic 8 balls.
There you go. Magic 8 balls. Listen, I know it's probably not good for us to be, having fun at your expense, but I would want more data. I have no idea. I don't know enough about how you failed, how much study you put in. I don't know. Maybe your firm won't allow it. I don't know. Check with your firm. I have no idea. Now, if you were taking a 7 and you took a 63 and you failed the third time, I would recommend a 66 if their firm will allow it. If you're had a 6 and you failed your 63, I think you're kind of stuck. You'll have to wait the 6 months. It depends on your firm. The questions kept getting longer and more difficult. Well, that sounds like a really different draw because that is not usually what we hear in terms of feedback on the 63. So I don't think you should ever give up. I have many successful people in this business who have failed 3 times, waited 6 months. They eventually got it down in the scheme of their careers. They make a lot of money, very successful, taking care of clients and themselves and their family. So I don't ever believe in giving up, but I think you need to take a little more ownership. I'm not happy where, you're asking us, will you pass if you take it again? That's on you. That's not on us. And I would like some more data. So I apologize for the tough love. Who was our other tough love person I gave some tough love to? And I said, she'll probably never come back and join us on Tuesday, but she joined us for months and she got it all done and passed and she's making a good living. It'll come to me. Should I just quit now? Oh my God, you got such a rotten attitude. I hope this is not how you're going in to talk to your supervisor. I don't know what to tell you, my friend. Why don't you sign up for my jam session where we can talk in person at deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. And I think it's more of a personal conversation than this is. The section is improving at all. I'm getting mid-80s. Well, again, I think it's out of sequence here. You just told us you failed 3 times, right? And now I got a chat where you're telling me it's not improving. Maybe that's on your report on the fail, I guess. The actual test felt completely different. I think you're in a bad space, my friend. So we're tutors. We're not sports psychologists or performance persons, but I think you need some help on that front. So I'm more than happy to provide that. And what I would do is join that session there, or send me an email at dean@guruexamprep.com. Maybe we can talk backstage. But hey, listen, watch that video. You failed. Is it over? Spoiler though. But good news, you're here. We're loving and accepting people. And I may be sounding too judgmental. I assure you I'm not. I just want the best for you. But I certainly wouldn't want you to go in to talk to anybody at your firm with anything close to the attitude in these 2 posts, because that will end your career pretty quickly, right? They want to see how you respond to misfortune. So you don't want to sound fragile. You want to go in there and say, hey, I'll kick its ass next time. I got 6 months. How can I not take this thing down in 6 months? So, no stinking thinking. No stinking thinking. 7 on Thursday. Please give me your confidence. What is this? Hey, listen, Brian and I would be rich. Here you go, Brian. I'm going to give you this ring. With this ring, you can pass any exam. Wow. What would that ring be worth? A lot. There's no sudden magic to this thing, right? So I think confidence comes from being prepared. So the more execution you do of your study plan, the higher the scores you get, the more confidence you should have. So I think overlearning promotes confidence. So, but we can't give you, why do I feel like people are asking us to be the Wizard of Oz?
We get this all the time, Dean. We've gotten this for 30 years. I'm nervous. I'm not confident. I've got test anxiety. We see and hear, and they come to us looking for solutions. And the first thing you and I both say is, there's no magic pill for it.
Yeah, that's right.
There isn't. Not that I know of, anyway.
Well, listen, consider joining our Facebook community. Because on the Facebook community, Baby Brokers Doing Hat Tricks, I do post a lot of motivational material, not my own content, because I don't want to be Zig Ziglar or Tony Robbins of the test-taking world. There's people already that do that very well, Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins, those kind of guys. But join our Facebook community. I do post a lot of motivational stuff there, third-party content, if you will. And then send me an email. Feel free to join me. I'll tell you what, the other thing I can do for both Poodles and Jip, I think, is I'll let you join me for the coaching call for the drawing winner. So you can go to my class tab and find coaching call for drawing winners. If it's not there, it's because I haven't put it up yet tonight. And you can join me there as my guest, and maybe we can talk some more about it. Preparing for 60. Yep.
I'm sorry.
You're going to join us too, Brian?
No. I was just going to say, these things that we're talking about, they are real. They're not.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
They're detriments, and you got to learn to work with them.
That's right.
Avoid them.
Yeah, those fear and fear.
I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're motivators for sure. I'm preparing for the 666. They have us calculating present and future value. No. Have I heard that come up? No, you need to know why you would be doing it and what the inputs are, right? So if I have a present value, for example, I have a customer, he says, Dean, I have $100,000 today. That's present value. He says, Dean, I want to retire in 20 years with $400,000. That's future value. And so what is necessary for me to do the math? I need to know the number of compounding periods. In this example, 20 years. I need to know what kind of rate of return I'm going to need to turn the 100 into 400. And then I could actually compute this. Now, in the example I just gave you, I could use a cocktail party trick called the Rule of 72. Right. But I would or Dean, I want $400,000 in 20 years in retirement. How much do I need today? So the future value is 400. I have 20 years. I need a rate of return, and then that would give me whatever that present value. My example, 100,000. So it's mainly inputs and outputs. Not can you do the math, because you don't have a key with an exponential calculator, anyways. And then knowing the basics of that. What I mean by that is the difference between the 100,000 to 400,000. The rate of return is 7.2. That's the internal rate of return, and that's the bridge from that present value of 100,000 to to the future value of 400. Now, the other way this comes up is, when we're trying to figure out present value to decide whether it's a good value or not to make the investment. So one valuation technique to discover present value, particularly on fixed income investments, is the discounted cash flow valuation technique, where I call Brian. I say, hey, Brian, I'm considering buying a 6% 10-year bond. Could you tell me what the present value of that is? And he said, well, Dean, you're going to get 20 payments of $30. The first payment is worth more. Money and time value money. Money today is always worth more than that last check of $30. And Brian, I need to know what the $1,000 10 years from today is worth today. So Brian calls me back. He says, hey, Dean, I did the math for you. Using DCF, the present value of the bond is 900. He says, well, what's the market price? I say, damn, 900. Now that means there's no net present value. So that's how it comes up. It comes up in that context. If Brian told me 900, I could buy it for 880. Woohoo! I got a good value, positive net present value. So I would say this, Bash, if you tell me you missed the 65 or 66 because of math, I'm going to say, nah, you have bigger problems. And a lot of people go overdose on this as well. I had a guy, he's a math geek. He told me, Dean, give me 2 numbers I can solve. And he passed, but hubris, I said, I hate to break this to you. You're not going to get a chance on this exam to demonstrate your prowess with math. It's just not that big a deal. Brian, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's another thing we talk about a lot. There will be one math calculation. I believe it's a total return,
Total return. So, Bashel, performance measures come up way more on 65 and 66. Performance measures.
Yeah.
Then do future value, present value, future value, net present value. So, yeah. And the other thing that shows up a lot more in that category called analytical methods, of where we find DCF, is going to be those balance sheet calculations, working capital, current ratio, quick ratio, that kind of stuff. One question on CBDC, Business Development Corporations. I'm not sure what CBDC is. Is that a business development corporation? I'm not sure.
I think.
Oh, there we go.
Yay!
Yeah. Woo! That's good.
Spread the love, man.
I'm going to toast you and bow you in advance. You know what I like about that too, Wesley, is please note, I'm not asking you for more data. I'm not asking what you're scoring on practice exams. That's the right attitude. Triple crown. Woo!
It can be done, everyone. It can be done.
Yeah, I like it. So he says, I get a little emotional the season of you all. So, yeah, I always say we come into your life for a reason and a season. The reason is to help you make your mark on these exams, and the season is how long that takes. And it's part of the process that you're going to move on, But how gratifying is it to us, Brian, that we see people later on who we impacted very early in their career, helping them make their marks, and now they're a success. They're helping clients, they're helping their family, they're helping themselves. They now have financial freedom. As I always say, if you're poor and you deserve to be rich, the securities industry is a great place. So yes, I hope you'll look back fondly on the rite of passage of passing this exam. It's a rite of passage everybody has. It's a barrier to entry in the securities industry. We don't want to be the few, many and the humble. We want to be the few and the proud. The Marine Corps, I'm wearing my Marine Corps shirt today. We're coming up on our 250th anniversary. Brian had a client, Russell. I told this story before. He knows that I made a $24,000 commission on the transaction. And he said, Dean, I could refer people to you and you could give me some of that $24,000. I said, Russell, that's a great idea. And I handed him the books. He goes, what are these? I go, these are the study materials for your SIE, your 7, your 66. You pass all those exams and you refer somebody my way, I'll give you half of it, 12 grand. He goes, well, I don't want to do that. I said, I didn't think you did. So all I can say is thank you very much. So this is kind of to keep people out of the security industry, right? I love it. SIE, 33 questions on investment vehicles. So go to my playlist to pass your SIE, know your SIE. And I go through the content outline. So that would be something I would suggest for you. Options, you're only going to get 2 or 3. They're mostly recognition. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time on that. But boy, yeah, don't forget your link base for the 7, and options are going to be way bigger deal on 7. Mutual funds, absolutely. Mutual funds, absolutely. Make sure you really spend time on mutual funds because there's going to be a lot of overlap. Make sure you know the difference between open-end and closed-end funds. Make sure you know the difference between an ETF and a traditional open-end mutual fund. Make sure you know the difference between an ETF and an ETN. So all those are very testable. Hey guys, took the SE, passed them both. Woo!
Look at all these people passing. How can you not be confident? Right? My goodness, we're passing left and right.
This confidence should transfer, right?
Exactly.
Let me just, I'll be right back, Brian. You hold down the fort. My UPS guy's there.
Oh, okay. SIEN 63 passed them both. I'm getting to take the 82. I have passed perfect, but can't really find anything else. Any suggestions? I used to happen the first two. Yeah, some of those ancillary exams, like the 82, you find.
All right, I'm back. You can't live off grid without lithium, propane, and a UPS driver.
Series 82, who covers material on that? Does not.
Past Perfect used to have a competitor called Solomon, and they acquired Solomon. I think they have a monopoly on some of these exams.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah.
On some of the ones with the narrower. Wow.
Holy cow.
Cheers. All those testing victories.
Yes, in finance. It certainly has paid off.
Yeah. Well, now you can, put that to work, right? Put that degree and those registrations to work, man. You are a double barrel threat. Double barrel. Stressing out, I have that SE. I'm sucking at it. Well, what is it with all this negative attitude here? Listen, I tell Brian, Jacob, that when I'm teaching and people put question marks into my chat, I say, don't put question marks in the chat. It's bad energy. So in our 3 days together next week, I'll say, put an exclamation point. I will know that you really mean a question mark and I will answer it. But almost every time somebody does that, it's the right answer. I'm thinking we should do that too. Maybe at the top when we're doing our housekeeping admin, I'm going to say, you know what? If you are stressed today, I want you to fake it till you make it. If you're thinking about putting up a post that says you're stressed out and say, why like Wesley? Maybe he's lying that he's super confident. And the self-talk isn't good. Just tell yourself you're sucking at it. Your brain's going to pick up on that. So if you're an audible and visual learner, here you go.
Yep.
100% pass rate for Jacob. Who's our other people? Jeff, I think. Wheezy. Oh, no. Wheezy was feeling super confident. Puddles. For all of you, here you go. You wanted me to give you confidence, and here it comes. I'm going to give it to you. 100% pass rate. All 3 of you tonight. This is a magic trick. It works every time. This is the magic pill Brian thought I didn't have, and I do. I want you to go into your bathroom. Jacob, I want you to look in the mirror. And I want you to say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the greatest SIE test taker of them all? Jacob, Jacob, Jacob. Hoorah! Now, one time doesn't work. You got to do the same thing in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, I want you to go into that mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the greatest SIE test taker of them all? Jacob, Jacob, Jacob. Hoorah! Every night, every morning between now and test time. One last thing. This is the trick. You can't make it work. The magic doesn't work unless you do this last thing. Halfway through your exam, I want you to take a break. I want you to go into the bathroom. I want you to look in the mirror and say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the greatest test taker of them all? So that's for all 3 of you, gentlemen. Brian, your things?
Yeah. Jacob's point here is amazing. He's telling us, he's sucking at it, that he's an audible and visual learner. Well, you're talking to the 2 best audible and visual instructors on the planet. If you haven't watched his videos or my videos or both videos, They're audio and visual. That's why we do it, because most of us are that way. And
Yeah,
we
Jacob, check out.
learn that way with visuals.
I would
Get
like to
his
know when
videos,
your
get
test.
my videos. Everything
I like that
you
you
need.
said after you pass. So I like that little positive point there. So Jacob, I don't know when your test date is, but you have plenty of time to watch the videos. So watch some videos. Package products, and believe it or not, retirement ones. Well, I don't know. We don't know why you would think we believe it or not. But retirement plans are pretty straightforward. 59.5, 73, 10%. That's all recognition stuff. Package products, the vast majority of those questions are mutual funds. So master those too. Yeah, they're right on. That's exactly right. So he knows he's just going to lose his premium. If you short the stock, you have unlimited risk. You buy the put, your downside is just the premium. Right on. He's long the puts. Being long the puts is a bearish bet. So when you buy a put, you have a choice to sell the stock. He has a choice to sell 1 million shares of NVIDIA and 5 million shares of Palantir. So we could take that, divide by the multiplier, and find out how many contracts that is. You know, I told you I'm demented. I'm going to do some more homework, and I'm going to see what that total premium was. Maybe from that, I can figure out what strike it is, because, you know, it's called open interest. It would be hard for us not to know that's Michael. We're getting 10,000 contracts at a pop. That's probably him. Yeah, there you go. Right on. Right on. It's not a hedge. He is not hedging a long stock position NVIDIA. As I said, LA16, pay attention. This is testable. I looked up his 13F. If he was long the stock, it would have been on his 13F. So it is not a hedge. He is not buying puts to hedge a position in NVIDIA or in Palantir. That would make him a bull. He's not a bull. He's a big time bear. Big time bear. There you go. Take the test tomorrow. Purchase and finish test geek. All right. Still get 6466. Well, you know, Brian has positive variance. So I think there's many people who get 64. We would like you in the 70 range, but we have many, many people. Oh, and the green light. Well, what'd you get on Test Geek? I mean, that's the most important score there, Aaron. So you finished Test Geek. Test Geek comes with a practice test. So what did you get on that? I think that's going to be a better correlation to the actual test than STC. Now that I said that, and Final Kaplan, again, I'd like to know what you're getting on Test Geek. The variance is in your favor, and many people who get 60s pass. We just don't want you to be there. We would prefer you have a more margin of safety. So, Aaron, tell us what you got on Brian's Test Geek. If you haven't done that, I mean, I wish you would have. So, I don't know what to say, because right now I don't think you should spend. I think you should go to bed and get some rest. Aaron, I don't know about you, but when I'm tired, my reading skills are greatly diminished. And so I would prefer that you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed tomorrow than you were doing anything more tonight.
Yeah, it's 8 p.m. East Coast time. So,
yeah. There is not many equations. That is correct. But I do need to be able to do anything on other questions. I'm not sure. But do I need to be able to do anything on other questions? Well, yeah, you got to answer every question correctly. No, I'm joking. I don't know how to answer that. The equations on SIE are very simple, current yield kind of things. If you tell me you missed it because of equations, I'm going to say you had other problems elsewhere. Now, I'm not sure what you mean by do I need to be able to do anything on other questions? I'm not sure what you mean by that. So I apologize. I'm not quite sure understanding what you mean. The question is, do you have to be able to do equations? Yes. Do you need to be able to do other things on other questions? Yes, but I'm not sure what you're asking on that. Which exam is Aaron taking?
SIE.
Well, that would be important too, right? So good question. Good question.
Oh, Jacob's doing the SIE. Aaron, yeah, I don't know what exam he's doing.
What is it with this? Jacob, you can't have stinking thinking. You can't have negative self-talk with yourself. If you're saying to yourself, I suck at equities, guess what? You're going to suck at equities. Stop with the stinking thinking. Okay, you're going to go into the mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the greatest equity trade person of all? Get rid of the stinking thinking. We're probably going to have nobody showing up next Tuesday.
Aaron's taking the
By the way, I do get people saying, oh, man, that guy gets so worked up. I'm joking. I'm trying to be animated. My life is great. I don't have to take any tests. Yeah, 7. There we go. I like it. Reset, refresh. Taking 63 for your information. Brian passed finally. I think I told Brian Don that you told us you passed. So
Yeah.
Right on. Right on. Personal tutoring, you go to deantinneytutoring.setmore.com. I'm pretty booked, Jacob, but I can find your spot, and I'm pretty expensive. I'm $375 an hour. So, but remember, I do have some free stuff, coaching calls. I have the jam sessions. So, but your tutoring can be booked at deantinneytutoring.setmore.com. You could also find that at, there you go. Boom. What else was I going to say? I was going to say something else. Oh, you can also find reviews there as well. Remember, there's a lot of tutoring replays on the channel. I have a whole playlist of tutoring replays where people have given me permission to put up their tutoring. So you might want to check that out too. And those replays are free as well. All right. Well, it looks like we're getting close, Brian, to our drawing. And it took 3 days. Okay. I thought it was called PIT. I have no idea, Justin, what you're talking about. Or total. No, time value. Then I have no idea what the PIT is. Time value money. One important concept is that money today, the first payment I'm receiving, the 24
option premium minus.
There you go. Yeah. So we don't know. We don't know the strike. So we don't know how much of time value that is versus intrinsic value. We don't know that. So your point. Good point. Any way to simplify learning package products? Well, no, if we did, we'd certainly share it with you, and it probably wouldn't be free. I'm joking, but I don't know of a simple way to do it. You know, if there's
equities, bonds, debts, mutual funds,
the more organized and disciplined you are, a dedicated discipline organization. BDC, yeah, those are business development corporations. They are testable. It's kind of like a version of a closed-end fund with an interval redemption feature. It's a way for retail investors to access more like venture capital, private credit kind of transactions. I would think it'd be a suitability question, understanding that they're not as liquid as would be a closed-end or open-end fund.
Series 7, right?
I've had that. I think so, Just Kane. Tell us what exam you're taking. But yeah, that's more of a 7 than I think a NASA. But I've
heard it on 7 before. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it a couple on NASA. I stink at math. What is it with the stink and thinking? Jacob, I want you to put in chat something you don't stink at. So I want in chat something you don't stink at. Tell me something that you are very good at. I'm looking at your picture there, and it looks like you're very good at relaxing, maybe drinking whiskey and smoking cigars, but there's got to be something you're good at. Feeling great about it. There we go. Make sure I got ready. Make sure you watch the videos for last week. We have a Mighty 90. We have a Series 7 in 60 minutes. You got Desk Geeks Top Off video for 7. There you go. You're in good shape. All right, Brian, I think it's time to do this. Let's see if I got anything. Okay. All right. Just kidding. There's less math. Okay. We're going to go for our Wheel of Fortune. Give me time, Brian, to get that up here.
You just let me know.
And boom. Let me put that over here. Choose the live stream. Okay, I'm ready for you, Brian. Don't put anything in the chat until I tell you go. Darkness. Oh my God. Are you talking about our negative energy we had tonight on our live?
No, I'm talking about the time change.
Okay, if you would like to participate, if you want to participate in the coaching call, put darkness into the chat. We'll put up the Wheel of Fortune. Share screen. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. And there we go. And let me get rid of that. And remember, if you win, that's where you go that booking page. You go to the class tab, and you will see, if it's not there, it'll be up after we're done tonight or in the morning. And you hit that, and it'll say coaching call for drawing winners. You get a Zoom link, and I show up, and then we talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. I've said this a gazillion times. You do not win a tutoring session at the date and time of your choice. Somebody will win the coaching call and send me an email. Can I do it Tuesday at 3 p.m.? No, you can't. That's not what's being offered to you. Don't forget, you do have a free offer of Brian's cheat sheet. All right, we got 18 entries. Any more? Going once. Going twice. Okay, here we go. Let's hit the drawing button. I wonder if Marcel's still here. Maybe he'll win.
Yeah, I saw him. Just went by.
He won so many in a row that I think people thought this thing was fixed. Wow. that's an interesting. Yeah, I would.
Is that a Mr. in front of that?
I have no idea. So you know the drill. Go ahead and go to that coaching call tab. Sorry, Marcel. I thought that it might have been you, but oh no. So, all right. Well, let me go back to Brian and I. Now let me get rid of that banner. As I always say, remember, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. Yard by yard, your exam is hard. And Brian, you say?
You got to learn to keep it simple. Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday. We always are at 5 p.m. Arizona time. We don't change the time in Arizona, so it's always 5 p.m. Arizona time. Remember, I have lots of different videos. I have some that are hours long, some that are minutes long, have lots of shorts. So we have videos of every time and length for whatever suits your needs. So we'll see you next Tuesday. If we don't see you sooner on the jam session or the book club or something like that. Bye-bye.